So this is a video covering lesson 1-4, solving absolute value equations. And this is one that you want to really pay close attention to. Sometimes students forget that there are actually two parts when you're solving absolute value equations. So make sure you're careful. First of all, you need to remember that absolute value is the distance a number is from zero. And when we're asking for absolute value, and I'm sorry, I didn't realize that that little hand got in there. That's supposed to say right there, that's supposed to say the absolute value of -4. But when we write absolute value, we have a value and then there's two bars on the outside. That means the absolute value. Again, it means the distance a number is from zero. So take a look. -4, if I wanted the absolute value, I'm looking for the distance that -4 is to 0, and it is 4 units away from 0. We don't care about the direction that you have to go, we just want to know how far is it. So distance, anytime you're given absolute value, the distance is going to be positive. If they say absolute value is equal to a negative number, you say no, that can't happen, no solution there. Okay? So absolute value of +4 is also 4 units. It is the same distance away as this one, as -4 is from 0. Okay? So if you can recall that, then let's change it up a little bit and say, if we have an example, the absolute value of x equals 14, in order to get my distance from 0 equal to 14, I can either be on the left side at -14, because that's 14 steps away from 0, or I can be at +14, that's also 14 steps away. So the value of x inside the absolute value bars can either be -14 or +14. So when we're solving problems, you want to think about what can be inside here to give you an absolute value or a distance of 14. So let's look at an example. This example says the absolute value of y plus 3 equals 8. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to think, okay, if I had some value in here and I took its absolute value, it has to give me 8. The distance is 8, so I can be at -8 or at +8. So this information inside here has got to give me either -8 or +8, so that when I take the absolute value, I get 8. So we know that y plus 3 can be equal to -8, or y plus 3 can be equal to +8. And now we solve both of these equations. A lot of people, this is where students make mistakes because they just solve what's in front of them. They just say y plus 3 equals 8, and that's the only one they solve. And they forget that the distance goes in both directions because we have a negative number that will give us absolute value the same distance as the positive number. Okay, so take away the 3 from both sides and we'll have y equals -11. And over here, subtract the 3 from both sides and we'll have y equals 5. If I were to plug both of these values in, -11, if I plugged it in for y, I'd say -11 plus 3, and that would give me -8. Then when I take the absolute value, I would get 8. When I plug in 5, 5 plus 3 is 8, and the absolute value of 8 equals 8. So both of these values work. There are two solutions for this equation. Okay, here are the instructions for how to do it. If you want to read through, it's exactly what I did here. It's just in words. All right, have a good night.